What are you watching?
What are you watching? Elodie, le film!
Dear friends, gather round, and listen closely to the tale of woe that befell me at the Hyatt Place Virginia Beach Oceanfront. A place that promised the world, but delivered only despair, disappointment, and a healthy dose of frustration. As I arrived at this supposedly luxurious establishment, I was greeted by an eerie sense of unease. The valet attendant, more concerned with his phone than the guests, neglected to offer a smile, a greeting, or even a hint of enthusiasm. It was as if I was bothering him by simply existing. The 15-step gap between him and the car seemed like an insurmountable distance, a chasm of indifference that set the tone for the rest of my stay. But, I thought, perhaps this was just a minor hiccup. Perhaps the room would be a haven, a sanctuary from the outside world. Oh, how wrong I was. The oceanfront room, which I paid a premium for, was a laughable excuse for a view. The 8th floor, deemed high by the staff, offered a glance at the ocean, but only if I stood on my tippy toes and craned my neck. It was as if they took the phrase oceanfront and twisted it into a cruel joke, a puff of smoke and mirrors designed to part me from my hard-earned cash. And then, the room itself. A pet-friendly haven, they claimed. But what they failed to mention was that the previous occupants had left behind a furry friend's hair, scattered like confetti across the bathroom floor. It was as if they expected me to be delighted by this surprise, this unwanted gift of a stranger's dander. The thought of it still makes my skin crawl. But, I digress. The bed, oh the bed. A slab of concrete, masquerading as a mattress, guaranteed to leave me awake and uncomfortable for the duration of my stay. The pillows, a meager attempt at comfort, seemed to flatten the moment I rested my weary head upon them. It was as if they wanted me to feel like a vagabond, a wanderer without a place to call my own. And don't even get me started on the staff. Shay Thomas, the front desk supervisor, was a masterclass in incompetence. Unprofessional, uncaring, and utterly unhelpful, she embodied the very essence of poor customer service. When I brought my concerns to her attention, she seemed put off, annoyed that I dared to disturb her from her phone-induced coma. But what about the valet, you ask? Ah, yes. The valet. A shining example of laziness, of a complete disregard for the well-being of guests. They lurked, like specters, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce upon my car, as if it were a prized possession. And when I asked for assistance, they sauntered, at a glacial pace, to help me with my luggage. It was as if they were performing a chore, a burdensome task that they would rather avoid. And then, the crowning jewel of my stay, the locked room debacle. Imagine, if you will, being trapped outside your own room, at the ungodly hour of 6:30 a.m., with no guards to assist with your luggage. The staff, seemingly unconcerned by my plight, took an eternity to rectify the situation, leaving me to stew in a sea of frustration. As I reflect on my experience at the Hyatt Place Virginia Beach Oceanfront, I am left with a sense of profound sadness. It's not just the incompetence, the neglect, or the blatant disregard for customers. It's the feeling of being reduced to nothing more than a mere inconvenience, a blip on the radar of their profit-driven machine. So, dear friends, let this be a warning to you. Do not, I repeat, do not fall prey to the false promises of the Hyatt Place Virginia Beach Oceanfront. For in their halls, you will find only disappointment, frustration, and a healthy dose of despair. What do you think, dear friends? Have you, too, suffered at the hands of this establishment? Share your stories, your outrage, and your disappointment. Together, we can expose the truth, and perhaps, just perhaps, bring about change. The world is listening, and I am waiting. Based on my analysis of businesses near Hyatt Place Virginia Beach Oceanfront, here is the comprehensive overview. Analysis of negative reviews for businesses near Hyatt Place Virginia Beach Oceanfront. This analysis examines 3 businesses, Lynnhaven Mall, Ageless Skin Rejuvenation, and Taste of Thai on Boulevard based on their negative reviews. Common themes include poor customer service, inconsistent quality, and operational issues that detract from the visitor experience. 1. Lynnhaven Mall, security overreach and poor maintenance. Key issues, aggressive security and unfair policies. Multiple reviewers cite excessive ID checks, harassment of young adults, even those over 18, and discriminatory behavior toward alternative fashion, for example, goth makeup. One reviewer, Emily Emaseger, expressed frustration over being unable to bring an under-18 companion despite being a legal adult. Unprofessional staff. A recurring complaint involves rude employees, particularly at Claire's, where a cashier rolled her eyes and gave dismissive responses. Elijah Royal. Poor facility maintenance. Restrooms were reported as filthy, with urine-covered seats and broken stall doors. Christopher Tinkler, early closures and inconvenient hours. Several reviewers criticized the mall's late opening, 11 a.m. instead of 10 a.m., and early closing times, making it inconvenient for shoppers. Jennifer, VM, food quality issues at Dave & Buster's, cold, poorly prepared food and malfunctioning arcade games left one family disappointed. Charlie King, notable example, mall security is definitely on a power trip. We had makeup on, and they claimed our identity was concealed. We wiped it off, and they still harassed us. Panicatha Miles, 2. Ageless skin rejuvenation, inconsistent service and medical concerns. Key issues, unqualified or inattentive practitioners. Multiple reviewers reported Botox and filler mishaps, including incorrect injections leading to droopy eyelids. Guest, missed lip injections. Caitlin F., and bruising from vein punctures. Rena, lack of consultation and poor communication. Several clients felt rushed, with practitioners failing to assess their needs properly. Teresa Garziano, Rena, non-refundable deposit controversy. The mandatory $50 consultation fee, non-refundable if services aren't booked, frustrated potential clients. Delilah Jones, Valerie Moore, unprofessional atmosphere. Reviewers described the spa as unwelcoming, with dark rooms, pushy tipping prompts, and indifferent staff. Rena, Dr. J. Notable example, the NP injected Botox into a vein, leaving a huge bruise. I'm a nurse, this is basic stuff. They didn't even call to check on me. Rena, 3. Taste of Thai on Boulevard, bland food and subpar service. Key issues, inconsistent food quality. Dishes like drunken noodles and pad thai were criticized for being mushy, overly oily, or lacking spice. Don Richard, Jonathan Plank, small portions for high prices. Multiple reviewers felt portions were inadequate for the cost. Kimberly Allen, Shakarla Smith, poor customer service. Staff were described as rude, particularly when customers requested tap water instead of bottled drinks. Jonathan Plank, lack of authenticity. Several diners claimed the food didn't resemble authentic Thai cuisine. Serena Benitez, Aaron Dobson. Notable example, the pad thai tasted like liquid smoke. For $17, I took 2 bites and threw it away. Aaron Dobson, common patterns across businesses. 1. Customer service failures, rude staff, dismissive attitudes, and lack of professionalism were prevalent in all 3 businesses. 2. Inconsistent quality, whether it was food, medical treatments, or mall maintenance, inconsistency was a major pain point. 3. Policies that frustrate guests. Lynnhaven's curfew rules, Ageless's non-refundable deposit, and Taste of Thai's unwillingness to accommodate simple requests created negative experiences. Conclusion: these businesses near Hyatt Place, Virginia Beach Oceanfront suffer from operational and service gaps that deter repeat visits. Addressing staffing training, quality control, and customer-centric policies could significantly improve their reputations. This analysis will be combined with additional data from other businesses in the area. Negative review analysis, businesses near Hyatt Place, Virginia Beach Oceanfront. Chunk 2, this analysis focuses on the negative reviews collected for 3 Ships Coffee Roasters, Peabody's Nightclub, The Attic at Waterman's, and the Atlantic on Pacific, all located near the Hyatt Place, Virginia Beach Oceanfront. The data reveals distinct patterns of issues for each establishment, suggesting systemic problems impacting customer experience. 3 Ships Coffee Roasters, inconsistent quality and poor service. 3 Ships consistently receives criticism centered around inconsistent coffee quality and unprofessional staff. The reviews paint a picture of a coffee shop that struggles to deliver on its promise of a refined caffeine experience. Quality control issues, multiple reviewers, Robert Lynch, Raghu Kumar S., described coffee as sour, under-extracted, and even the worst coffee in the area. This suggests a lack of consistency in brewing or bean quality. The inconsistency is particularly troubling, with one reviewer noting a positive experience on one day followed by a terrible one on the next. Raghu Kumar S. Poor customer service, several complaints focus on rude or unhelpful staff. Rem. Nicholas Barba. Specifically, sarcastic responses to simple questions, Rem. and a general air of indifference, Nicholas Barba, are highlighted. Pricing versus value. The high prices are consistently mentioned in conjunction with quality/service issues, making the value proposition particularly poor. Robert Lynch, Lisa Michelle. The free refill policy is actively misleading as it's not applied to to-go orders. Sean M. Pritchard, demonstrating a lack of transparency. Food quality. One reviewer reported the biscuits were the worst and bland, indicating the food served is not up to par. Sarah Van Dam, Peabody's Nightclub. Communication failures, security issues and value concerns. Peabody's nightclub suffers from a reputation marred by poor communication, aggressive/unprofessional security staff, and questionable value for money. Lack of communication. The most prominent issue is the failure to promptly notify ticket holders of event cancellations, epictainment. This demonstrates a disregard for customer convenience and planning. Security issues. A significant number of complaints revolve around the behavior of security staff. This ranges from rudeness and creating a negative atmosphere, Susan Crimpleton, to outright dangerous behavior, such as leaving an intoxicated and vulnerable patron unattended, Haley A. The incident involving the intoxicated woman is particularly concerning, highlighting a severe failure in duty of care. Selective enforcement of dress codes is also mentioned, Demai Lindsay. ID verification issues. Several reviewers experienced problems with ID verification, with some claiming legitimate IDs were rejected, and refunds were refused, Moses Capers, Mileno Ortiz. Overpricing and mediocre experience. While the DJ quality is occasionally praised, Alyssa Rice, the overall experience is often considered overpriced for what's offered, Alyssa Rice, Amanda Lee. The attic at Waterman's, limited data, potentially unreliable with only 3 reviews, and 1 being positive. Assessing the attic at Waterman's is challenging. 2 reviews are blank, rendering them useless for analysis. The single positive review suggests it benefits from the overall reputation of Waterman's. More data is needed to form a solid conclusion. The Atlantic on Pacific, serious concerns, racism and poor food quality. The Atlantic on Pacific faces the most alarming issues, with a recurring and serious theme of racial discrimination alongside consistent complaints about poor food quality and service. Allegations of racism. Multiple reviewers, Amar Iqbal, Anissa 23, explicitly describe experiencing racism and being denied service based on their race. These allegations are deeply concerning and suggest a systemic problem within the establishment. The valet's apology to one party seemingly acknowledges awareness of this issue. Food quality and value. Consistent complaints highlight poor food quality, specifically regarding spoiled oysters, Lynn, bland dishes, Angela Springer, Kevin Butler, and small portion sizes for high prices, Rob A. The halibut dish is specifically called out as lacking flavor and being too small, Jeff Malooly. Inconsistent service. While one reviewer praised their waitress, Jacqueline Matthews, the overall service is described as lacking, with requests ignored and a general disconnect between staff and customers, Jacqueline Matthews. Unreasonable policies. The prohibition of ordering drinks while waiting for a table, despite a walk-in-only policy, is seen as illogical and frustrating, Lathan Jabretson. General patterns in the area. Across these businesses, several patterns emerge. Service inconsistency, across multiple establishments. The quality of this analysis covers all the businesses analyzed in the area and provides insights into what travelers can expect when staying near Hyatt Place Virginia Beach Oceanfront. Okay, so I was, looking into stuff around Hyatt Place Virginia Beach Oceanfront, just seeing what happens there. And honestly, it's kinda depressing. Businesses around there, they're, really good at taking your money, sometimes in ways you wouldn't even think of. Some stores? They're kinda dishonest. Remember that whole coupon thing from 2021? This lady, Lori Ann Talens, was making fake coupons, really good ones, for places people actually shop at when they're visiting, like Kroger and Target, even Safeway. Tourists, thinking they're getting a deal near Hyatt Place Virginia Beach Oceanfront, would use these, and it was all fake. $31 million worth of fake coupons. Can you believe it? Probably a lot of people, after realizing they'd been tricked, just felt stupid, and embarrassed. I bet Lori Ann Talens and her husband? They probably got a long prison sentence, and the stores had to deal with massive losses. It just messes everything up. And then, oh my gosh, the stores on Atlantic Avenue. They started selling these awful t-shirts and shorts. Really offensive stuff, right there in the open. Imagine being a family, staying at Hyatt Place Virginia Beach Oceanfront, trying to have a nice vacation, and walking past shirts with just bad things on them. That lady Jennifer Heron was right to complain. I bet a lot of people complained and just avoided those stores. The city tried to get them to stop, but the store owners were probably just laughing all the way to the bank. They probably thought, tourists will buy anything. I mean, seriously? It's awful. They probably still sell them, honestly. Then there's just the everyday rip-offs. You go into a souvenir shop near Hyatt Place Virginia Beach Oceanfront, You see a shell necklace for $5, but then at the counter, they add a handling fee or something. Or they tell you it's actually $20. Tourists just don't know any better. They're on vacation. They probably just pay it, feeling frustrated and like they were taken advantage of. I bet the store owners just keep doing it, because they figure most people won't bother to fight it. It's just sad. And honestly, they probably get away with it most of the time, because who's going to report a $20 necklace? It's just exhausting, you know? Thinking about all the ways people are just trying to scam you when you're trying to have a good time.